Google just dropped a model with a 2 million token context window. That's the biggest of any model you can actually use right now, and it comes with a $250 a month tier to match. So is Gemini 3.5 Pro the one you finally switched to, or is it a spec sheet flexing on you? I ran it. Here's the honest version, including the part where you probably shouldn't pay for it. By the end, you'll know exactly what that 2 million context actually does in real work, what the deep think mode is and when it's worth turning on, what this really costs once you read past the headline, and how it stacks up against the two models breathing down its neck, GPT-5.6 and Anthropic's Fable 5. No benchmark worship, just where it helps, where it doesn't, and who should actually open their wallet. Let's start with what's actually new, fast. Gemini 3.5 Pro ships with a 2 million token context window. That's double the 1 million in the Flash version, and the largest in any production frontier model today. It has a reasoning mode called Deep Think, which is gated behind the Ultra plan at $250 a month. On the API, it runs about $15 per million tokens going in and 60 going out, which is roughly 10 times the price of Flash. It handles text and images, and as of right now, it's rolling out sitting in a limited Vertex AI preview while general availability lands this week. Those are the numbers. Numbers don't tell you if it's good. So let me translate the one that actually matters, 2 million tokens. What does that even mean when you're not a benchmark? Roughly, it's around 1.5 million words. That's about 15 full novels, or your entire code base, or 3 months of a Slack channel, every message pasted in at once, while the model holds all of it in its head as it answers. This is the feature that changes how you work, not the benchmark score. The old move was chopping a big document into pieces and feeding it bit by bit, hoping the model didn't forget the start by the time it reached the end. With this, you stop chunking. You drop the whole thing in and ask across all of it. Here's where it earned a real reaction from me. I dropped in a 400-page contract plus 3 months of email threads and asked one question: which single clause changed between the first draft and the signed version. It found it in about 9 seconds and quoted both versions. Flash missed it twice. That moment is the whole pitch for Pro. I tried it on code too. I pasted a 60-file repo and asked where a specific bug could be hiding, and it pointed at the right function across 3 different files without me telling it where to look. The big window means it can finally see the whole thing at once instead of guessing from a slice. But a fair warning, because this is the honest channel. Big context is not free, and it's not magic. The more you stuff in, the more you pay, and the slower it gets. And models still get a little fuzzy in the deep middle of a giant context, a thing people call context rot. So 2 million is a ceiling, not a habit. Use it when the whole haystack matters. Don't paste a novel to ask a one-line question, one practical thing, since big context is easy to waste. Don't just dump and pray. Put your actual question at the very top, then again at the very bottom, so it doesn't get lost in the middle where models go soft. Upload big files instead of pasting them. It's cleaner and cheaper. And keep one job per conversation. The window is huge, but it's not memory, it's a desk. Pile 15 unrelated tasks on it, and the answers get muddy. Treat it like a workspace you clear between jobs, and it stays sharp. Now, deep think. This is the reasoning mode, the one locked behind the $250 Ultra tier. In plain terms, the model slows down and works a hard problem in steps instead of blurting the first answer. Think planning a tricky migration, untangling a multi-part logic problem, debugging something with 5 moving parts at once. My take after using it. For a normal email or a summary, Deep Think is a waste of time and money. The regular mode is already fine, but I gave it a genuinely messy database migration plan, and it caught a dependency I would have shipped broken, the kind of thing that ruins a Friday. So it's not for everything, it's for the small number of problems where being wrong is expensive and the steps actually matter. It reads images now too, so you can hand it a screenshot of a dashboard, a chart, a diagram, and ask about it, not just plain text. Handy, though it's still text where it's strongest. A few things it still won't do, so you're not caught off guard. It takes text and images, but not audio or video yet, so you can't just throw it a podcast or a screen recording and walk away. On the really big contexts, it gets slow, sometimes tens of seconds per answer, which adds up if you're doing this all day. And right now it's a preview that's still rolling out, so limits and availability can be uneven depending on where you sit. None of these are deal breakers, they're just the gap between the demo and your actual Tuesday. So the money. Because this is where most videos go quiet and just tell you it's amazing. The Ultra plan is $250 a month, and the main thing it unlocks for most people is DeepThink and higher limits. On the API, you're looking at $15 per million tokens in and 60 out, 10 times the flash price. Let me put that in real terms. Feed it a 200,000 token document and ask one big question. That's around $3 for that single call on Pro versus about 30 cents on Flash. Do that 50 times a day and the gap is your rent. So this isn't a rounding error. The price is the feature you have to think hardest about. Here's the part nobody wants to say out loud. Most people do not need Pro. Flash is shockingly good. It has a 1 million context of its own, and it's a tenth of the price. For everyday writing, quick research, normal coding help, Flash wins on value, and it isn't close. Pro is a specialist tool. You reach for it when the job is big or the reasoning is hard, not as your daily driver. How I actually use it, honestly. I run Flash for about 90% of my day, and I tap Pro only when being wrong is expensive. A big legal doc, a real architecture decision, a research pile I can't afford to misread. And I'm personally not paying $250 a month just for DeepThink. I use it through the API when I need it and pay by the sip. Your math might be different if you live in this thing all day. And before you decide, there's a catch that changes the whole picture because Gemini is not launching into an empty room. There are two other models that just landed or are about to, and one of them beats Pro at the thing you probably care about most. Let me show you the honest scoreboard. So how does Gemini 3.5 Pro actually stack up today against the field? 3 frontier models are landing inside the same 10-day window, and they are not the same tool. Anthropic's Fable 5 is the coding king right now. It leads the hardest real-world coding benchmark, SWE Bench Pro, at about 80.3%, and in hands-on use, it's still the one I trust most to write and fix code that runs. If your day is mostly building software, that's the one to beat, not Gemini. OpenAI's GPT-5.6 is expected within days, pitched as a real step up from 5.5. It's the wild card. I'm not going to praise a model I haven't run, so I'll just say this. If you're about to commit to a yearly plan, wait the week. Don't lock in the day before the other guy ships. And Gemini 3.5 Pro, what does it actually win at? Context and reasoning at scale on Google's stack, nothing else you can buy, holds 2 million tokens. And if you're already in Google's world, with your docs and your data sitting there, Pro reasoning over all of it is genuinely hard to match. It's the read everything and think about it model, less the write my app model. Let me make that concrete with 3 things I'd actually use Pro for this week. 1, reading a whole code base before a big refactor so it can warn me what breaks before I touch anything. 2, reconciling a long contract against months of email, finding every place the final terms drifted from what was promised. 3, turning 3 hours of meeting transcripts into a clean decision log, who agreed to what and what's still open. Notice the pattern. Every one of those is too big to hold in your head, and being wrong on any of them costs real time or real money. That's the Pro Zone. If your task isn't like that, you're paying for a forklift to carry a coffee cup. So who should actually pay? If you regularly work over huge piles of text, contracts, research, long transcripts, whole code bases, and you want one model to reason across all of it, Pro is worth a serious look, and Ultra might pay for itself. If you mostly write, search, and code in normal-sized chunks, save your money, Flash is the smarter buy, full stop. If you want one rule to remember, here it is. Reach for Pro when the input is bigger than you can read or the problem is harder than you can hold in your head. Everything else, use Flash. That single line will save you more money than any settings tweak. And honestly, it's the whole video in one sentence. How to try it without committing. It's rolling out in the Gemini app and in Vertex AI as general availability lands this week. Start in the app on the free side. Throw your biggest real document at it, the kind that used to break other tools, and see if the answer actually holds up. That one test tells you more than any benchmark I could read you. One honest caution before you dump your life into it. That 2 million window invites you to paste everything, including stuff you maybe shouldn't. Client data, secrets, private contracts. Check where it goes and what gets kept before you feed it anything sensitive. The bigger the window, the easier it is to overshare without noticing. The honest verdict. Gemini 3.5 Pro is the most capable big context model you can use right now, and for the right job, it's the best tool on the market. It is also overkill and overpriced for what most people do day to day. Buy it for the hard problems. Don't buy it out of fear of missing out. Quick recap. 2 million token context, the biggest you can use, real and genuinely useful when the whole haystack matters. Deep think, reasoning behind a $250 tier, great for the few hard problems, wasted on the easy ones, roughly 10 times the Flash price, which means Flash is still the right answer for most people. And if you mainly code, Fable 5 is still the one to beat, with GPT 5.6 landing any day. So wait a week before you commit to anything. If this saved you $250 or a bad subscription, subscribe. I run these models on real work so you get the verdict, not the hype. Next, I'm putting Gemini 3.5 Pro head-to-head against GPT 5.6 and Fable 5 on the exact same real tasks. No cherry-picked demos to see which one actually wins your money. That one's going to make somebody mad. See you there.